Why do you think teachers rejected this deal, and by, 98% of those who voted dismissing it?
Yes, well, when we announced the offer to our members, we could tell very quickly that they were absolutely incensed by it. Not just the derisory offer of £1,000 one-off payment, which of course is subject to tax and national insurance. It does nothing to make up for the loss of pay in the last 10 years. But the major driver of anger of our members is that the lack of funding for that pay rise. So members know that school budgets are tighter than ever. Nearly 80% of schools will find it difficult to make this payment, the 4.3% for most teachers from next September, is not funded. And that will mean that children with special educational needs and disability will lose their support staff. It means that school leaders will need to make cuts to curriculum provision, and other parts of the curriculum will need to be cut.
I suppose the question then is, if you know that there's not enough money to even fund the pay rise that they're offering, why are you pushing for even bigger pay rises?
Well, teacher vacancies are up 93% on pre-pandemic figures. So parents and school leaders will recognise when we say that we aren't recruiting enough teachers into the profession and we aren't retaining enough teachers in the profession. 2/3 of our members surveyed this week say that they feel stressed more than 60% of the time. And the reasons that they state for that are lack of school funding and budget, about the toxic workload driven by Ofsted, and rising class sizes. So what we are saying to Gillian Keegan is we've got 3 weeks before this next round of strike action takes place. Let's get back around the table and fully fund a pay increase for teachers so that we can ensure that every child has the support that they need and a qualified teacher in the classroom.
What's the sort of pay rise that you'd be looking for, which means this strike action wouldn't go ahead?
Well, she only has to look at the other nations within the UK. So Scotland have got a better deal and Wales have got a better deal. What parents are saying to us and what our members are saying is, why do children not deserve teachers paid that well? And why do teachers in England not deserve the pay rise that they're being given across the border? It increases the recruitment and retention issue that we've got. Children in England have not are no different for those their neighbours. We need to ensure that we've got safe buildings, that we've got good equipment. 1 in 8 maths lessons is taught by a non-qualified maths teacher. We need investment in education so that this generation, who have suffered the most through COVID, have every chance of the future through the education system.
Since the pandemic, parents have been under a lot of pressure to make sure they get their children back to school, and there's been concern about attendance and that sort of thing. In lots of parts of the country, if you miss 5 days in a term or a school year, you get fined. If you go ahead with these strikes, you'll be getting dangerously close to that in terms of lost strike days. Is it sending the right message to pupils that it's all right for teachers to be off?
Well, teachers are taking this action for their pupils. They're taking it for investment in education. And of course, when members take strike action, they don't get paid for that day. But, what we know is the reason that children are finding it so difficult to get back into education post the pandemic is because of lack of investment in those services around schools. So support services from social care, from mental health services, from special educational needs services. All of those things are stretching school budgets and stretching the workload of school leaders. And this absolutely is, if the government are saying that children need to be in school, they need to have the support around them to be able to bounce back from the pandemic, then they need to put their money where their mouth is and ensure that the system is funded and that we have qualified teachers dedicated to the profession that stay there long enough to support children to achieve their educational outcomes.
Naimh Sweeney, good to speak to you, Deputy General Secretary.